Hello everybody and welcome back to another World of Warships Legends video. So recently I opened a few crates and I got the Arizona and the Huanghe. Not really ships I expected to get, but since I just got them, why not review both of them in the same video? So we're just going to start with the Arizona here. Our commander is William Sims. We are using flammable cannoneer, gyrating drill bits, marksmanship, reaching out XXL and will to rebuild. Our inspirations are Andrew Cunningham and Nikolai von Essen, just for the extra dispersion, and their shells ricochet angles. For our upgrades we are using propulsion mod and main battery mod, just for the turret traverse. Of course you can't take aiming systems mod in the American battleships, which is a bit of a shame, but well, that's just how it works. In terms of your survivability, your hit points are kind of average, and so is your torpedo protection. It's just kind of the same with most American battleships. You look through the stats here, and I'm not even going to bother with most of them, because pretty much the stats are exactly the same. Your main battery firing range is 17.3, which is actually slightly lower than the average for the Tier 5 American battleship, and your reload time is 35 seconds, so you're going to be waiting around a long time for your shells to reload. That is pretty much one of the longest battleship reloads in the game. I think maybe only Gangut's longer, because I think that's got 36 you've got to sit through. Your AA is pretty poor. You're quite slow, as most American dreadnoughts are, but you do turn pretty quickly. And your concealment is, well, it's not great. Your armour is also pretty typical for any kind of battleship at this tier. You are coated completely in 25. You have a nice 26mm torpedo bulkhead here, which means you can get some nice black hole shots on this thing. Your bow, of course, 25, no icebreaker, so you're going to be overmatched a lot by everything. Your citadel is not the most well protected, and you can still be citadel, but it's not really a big issue like most American battleships at this tier. So overall, statistics for this ship are not great. It doesn't really have anything going in its favour, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows that Arizona isn't a great ship. It's alright by the standards of maybe 2019. But regardless of that, I think she's enjoyable, and on to the actual gameplay. Now, because we are of course reviewing two ships in one video, we've only got one game for each ship. So for our Arizona game, we are on the map Atlantic. I'm not the biggest fan of this map, nobody really liked this map. We got one destroyer per team, and it's a carrier game. This is a tier 4, so this is where this ship is really going to thrive, because you will struggle against tier 6s, after all you can't overmatch them. Now, you don't really see a lot of Arizonas out there, and I think that's for pretty good reason. When I play this ship, and, well, this is actually my first game in it. This is going to be my first game in the Arizona this match, and the Huanghe game is also going to be my first game in the Huanghe. And they actually turned out pretty well for both of them. I recorded these videos back to back, by the way. So, Arizona. What does she have going for her? Nothing. I'll be honest, Arizona really has nothing against anything else. She's got nothing over the tech tree ships. She hasn't even got the gimmick California has of good AA. She's really just an oddball at the tier 5 US tree. You don't see them a lot. The ship's not great. As I said, it has no advantages. But I actually think it's quite enjoyable. I don't know what it is about it. Something about this makes, to me, it just makes it like the most enjoyable tier 5 American battleship, apart from maybe behind West Virginia, which is just funny to the gun size. Now we got a stationary Pensacola here for some reason. I don't know what it, you can see me almost looking in confusion here, so I'm going to try and aim backwards because he starts reversing here. Now the dispersion on the ship, because you don't have aiming systems mod, isn't great. We do manage to pick up a nice citadel on Pensacola, so it's down to half health immediately. The dispersion of the ship isn't great, of course, because you can't take aiming mods. But one advantage of this ship, and a lot of the American battleships, or pretty much all of them, is that it does hit hard when it does hit. Sometimes you can get just absolutely horrific salvos that make no sense, and sometimes you can just get absolutely laser beams. Now, I think this Pensacola has prop mod or something. I don't know what that shot was. But I think he also slows down a bit there, and, well, it doesn't go quite where we want it to go. So it goes a bit too far forwards, and we don't quite kill him there, so we're just going to discharge the rear guns here. But breaking news, this doesn't kill him either. See, the shells can be a bit trolly on this thing, and neither does our teammate kill him either. But yeah, as I said, trolley guns, but they tend to do damage. Now we're just going to push up a bit here because we're going to try and get some salvos into this Texas, because Texas is it's a bit juicy. Most battleships of this tier are quite juicy. I'm going to wait for him to turn out and try and get him to give us the most optimal angle. He appears to be pulling a hard gamer turn here. I'm going to aim up slightly because he's still turning away somewhat. Unfortunately, dispersion isn't quite on our side. He does notice and he turns back out, so we only actually land 2 shells there. The other ones fall short. That is a bit of a shame. If that was a Citadel or even a Deletion, I'd be over the moon right now. Especially since this is my first game in this ship, you know, you get a good first impression. So if you haven't noticed, all the enemy ships have just kind of grouped up at the south. It's only the Texas over here right now. Poor old Texas. But I believe someone else is going to make their way over here. I think we've been spotted from pretty much across the entire map by the enemy destroyer, which I forgot what it was. I think it might be an Aviary. Now we're just going to take the shot on this Texas here. He's going straight into torpedoes. This version is very nice and very flat, and we do successfully yoink the kill from our destroyer. Sorry about that. So we start to slowly begin our very, very long trek southwards. Now there is an enemy battleship. He's turned around and he's coming back up here. I can't remember what it was. Well, now I do. It's Mackinson. Not exactly the most threatening battleship at this tier. In fact, probably one of the worst. You can probably guess what carrier it is by those bombs. It's Serov. He's not particularly smart. I aim high again because this guy's turning out here. This guy's pretty much going to do nothing but sling HE at me this entire time. We get a nice 14k junk into him there. So the enemy's already down a few ships. It's not looking great for them. So they got that 3 disadvantage off. So we got some weird cruiser down A, who's pretty much just holding off the entire enemy team, making sure they can't push up. I'm going to take a shot here at this Normandy. Unfortunately, the dispersion isn't brilliant, but still 9.5k. The carrier does torpedo us. So we're just going to utilise our very, very good turn you do have in the Arizona. It's really the only thing it excels at, ironically, is turning. Atkinson sets us on fire here, which is, yeah, it's annoying. And then all of a sudden, Serov turns up and he's reversing. I don't really know what happens to this guy. I don't know why he's reversing. But the dispersion's very good here. We're aiming for a dev strike, but unfortunately we don't get it. Despite all that flat good dispersion, but we do get 3 Citadels and take him down to about 5,000 health. Only sets us on fire with 1 bomb hit, which is just a classic, so we're just going to put that out. So we're gonna, I think, hopefully we take him out with this salvo.
Problem solved, sir.
Yeah, and down he goes. So this game's over. To be honest, this is a problem with World Warships. The matches never last long enough. We've just gone at past the 8-minute mark here, and they've got 3 ships left, and we've got a 2 base advantage and a 500-point lead. We do fire our ray gun to the Mackinson, but only get 1 shatter, as I said. Well, numerous times. I sound like a broken record here, but the guns are trolly, you've got to remember that. Unfortunately, though, the fun police still has their planes in the air. We've also got a nice sat on the Mac and some of our front guns. Do both take out our steering and flood us at the same time.
Hull breach. We're taking on water quickly.
Now, that's not what I normally call ideal, especially since our damage gun is still on cooldown. Annoyingly, though, this Mackinson he's not going to stop his barrage of high explosive spam. Backline high explosive spam as well, on top of that. So we get another shot here. We hope to get the Citadel, but it's just not on our side, and we leave him with 5k health. I pop the damage con, so we don't just simply flood to death. Thankfully, because of the long American damage con, and because we're not actually using emergency specialist this time, he's not going to set us on fire with this salvo. Which means we're actually going to get away with it. We've got 2,000 health and our lovely smokescreen from our destroyer. I don't think he's intentionally laid it for me, but well played to him, because, well, we're not going to die. Unless we get spotted by that carrier aircraft, of course. Unfortunately, he already has his guns pointed at the destroyer, and he does take the shot, so that leaves us a nice wide angle, and we do take him out, picking up the Fireproof and the Dreadnought, and ending the game. $114,000 damage, a high caliber Dreadnought, and a Fireproof. What is my first game in the Arizona? 2,288 base XP. Overall, pretty good and pretty damn good result in my mind. So, should you get the Tier 5 Arizona? My answer to that is a resounding no. If you really like your American Dreadnought ships, standard type, standard class, whatever they're called. If you, I mean, again, I'm not telling you how to spend your money here, even though I totally am. If you really want this ship, you can get it. If you're interested in the limited history behind it, then go on. But honestly, if you're just looking for a good Tier 5 premium battleship to buy, this isn't it. This is pretty much one of the bottom ships on my list. All the American tech tree ships in New Mexico, especially at this tier, just outperform this ship in absolutely every way. I think the only thing the Arizona does better is it's got slightly more hit points than New Mexico, if I remember correctly, but it's just not worth it. And with that all being said, I think it's about time we review the Huanghe. So the Huanghe. This is the second ship I got from a crate. Now, Huanghe is a funny ship. It was the first ship ever added to the game to include a crawling smokescreen, which is something that was, well, that is normally unique to the Commonwealth nations, at least on PC anyway. Our commander is Chen Shaoquan. We are using Reaching Out, Igniter, Back in Stock, Smoke on the Water, and Fully Packed. Our inspirations are Genichi Mikawa and Andre Lemonnier, just for that extra concealment and a bit of sneakiness for firing your guns and disappearing quickly. Now this ship adds a lot of variety to this tier. You've got some pretty standard high explosive and some pretty standard armor piercing. This is not too special, but you do get deep water torpedoes. Now you get 3 of these per side, and for your consumables, you obviously get you get the crawling smoke, which I mentioned previously, and the either sonar, a torpedo reload booster, or DFAA. Now, I normally would recommend sonar, but for the gameplay you're about to see, I am using torpedo reload booster, so just keep that in mind. And finally, defensive AA fire, which is honestly not a bad pick, because Huanghe has actually got some pretty good AA. In terms of survivability, you got 24,000 hit points, which it's not great, especially when you factor in the armor, which we'll get back to in a moment. Your main battery with this build, we can reach out to 15.8 kilometers, which is, again, not great. Your reload time 7 seconds, which is just about average for guns of this size at this tier. And there's really not much to say about the guns. The torpedoes are pretty cool. The AA is alright. The maneuverability is actually pretty decent. You got a nice 570 meter turning circle, which is pretty good. The ship is quite small. It is quite small. For the reason it's only got 6 guns. It was like a budget UK cruiser originally. And of course, because of your small size, you are quite stealthy. It's a 10.8. This is not a full stealth build, though you can run it, and I kind of recommend you do. Now your armor's probably about what you'd expect out of a tier 5 ship. I mean, you've got a 16mm bow, so any battleship and some cruisers are going straight through that. And your citadel is your auxiliary room armor, as it's called here, is pretty much just enough to arm most battleship shells. And of course, you can be citadeled, and because of your low health and you don't have a heal, it's really not very optimal. But as much as the ship seems statistically average, it really is just a smoke generator, and also the accuracy. I think the ship might get a destroyer dispersion as well. Now, the smoke generator is very, very useful. Obviously, it allows you to move whilst you're in smoke. I don't even go up the upgrades. We're just using aiming systems and propulsion. So again, standard tier 5 cruiser build. I think that's about it. So we move on to the gameplay. Now, what the match does, we did start recording this match a bit late here, but this is also my my first game in the Huanghe as well. This is a carrier game, and there is 1 destroyer per team. I think the highlight of this game is mainly just going to be bullying the 2 Albers on the enemy team. It's going to be pretty entertaining. Of course, as I said, we're using the torpedo reload booster. This is not something I normally recommend doing because sonar's just where it's more useful. Protecting yourself in the smoke screen, obviously, and of course, it provides recon, I guess, if you're close enough. It supports your team as well by spotting those torpedoes. So, as you can know, there's a New Mexico over there. He's going to start reversing. And this guy plays it poorly, okay? I'm going to say, he plays it poorly, but he is the luckiest bastard on the planet. Anyway, our first Albert friend turns up, and we immediately load armor piercing. This is something I always love doing with some cruisers, because of course you can switch the shells. Now, we get some pretty good dispersion off the bat here, and this Alba's initial decision here, he's, well, Japanese mains are not the brightest animals. And he's immediately going for the torpedoes! So we're going to take this up, we're going to capitalise on this opportunity here, and we're just going to try and AP farm him and get some citadels. That's an extra one there. Now, of course, because you're a light cruiser, your citadels don't do a lot of damage. They only do about 3,000. The guns are 6 inches. I don't think I think the damage they do might actually be slightly lower than the average. Get a nice triple there. You can do nearly 10,000 to him. We do take out his engine, and of course that's going to be him. We get another citadel and we kill him. So that's 7 citadels immediately. So we've just obliterated a Alba whilst only taking a little bit of damage. The enemy Alba turns up, the other one, so I'm gonna pop my my little creepy crawly smoke here. I'm gonna open up on the emeralds, but I think it's gonna go undetected in a little minute. Anyway, the enemy carrier, which is a Ryujo, which already has weak planes, but he's also using stock planes that you get on the Hosho, so that's not ideal for him. Now the New Mexico, he blind fires us and sets fire. This guy's countered us. He's just going to do nothing but reverse, and he's just going to do HE slinging. But it somehow works out for him, and it's so frustrating. Now we're just going to, I think we're just going to fire torpedoes randomly here, or not. Now, despite that we've got the torpedo reload booster, it's not really a torpedo cruiser. I said a torpedo reload booster is really only useful if you're YOLOing someone. Now, of course, the Alba, because he's a Japanese man, he's got a torpedo! So I get the triple citadel on him there. We get another, well, it's 1,000, I guess. Now, of course, our smoke has helped us here. And we are going to use another smoke before this game ends, I think. As I said, this ship would be really not very good if you took the smoke away. But my god, does the smoke help so much. Annoyingly, he does sonar us here, and we don't have a sonar in order to sonar him back. Also, our carrier is determined to not help on this flank. He's over in B. And also our battleship we spawned with, the Breton, is AFK for some reason. The Farragut decides to shoot us here, and we shoot him. And we get some pens, and we just flat out kill him with a nice salvo HE. Speaking of HE, New Mexico's back. He fires a single salvo at us, gets a fire, so we have to put that out. No, we don't have to. It'd just be a kind of a waste of hit points if we didn't put it out. But unfortunately, the carrier is keeping us perma-spotted here, so I'm just going to try and keep this rocket between me and Mr. HE Slinger over there. The Albert turns up here, strap broadside. Unfortunately, we don't punish him here. Oh no, we do. We do get a citadel. Nice parting gift before we turn back. Okay, so I think, yeah, we're going to use our torpedoes here now, and I believe we're also going to be using the reload booster, if I'm not mistaken. We are, of course, just going to load some explosive. There's no point shooting them in while he's angling. The New Mexico shoots us here. Unfortunately for him, he does miss. We're going to pop the reload booster because he's going to go behind this island, so we're just going to try and fire a few torpedoes around that island. Just give it a moment. Yeah, and just lighting it up. There you go. Let's shoot some torpedoes there. Gonna turn around and maybe fire our other launcher as well. Again, this is the torpedoes. It's not really a torpedo cruiser, but the torpedoes are just such a cool. It's just a really useful gimmick. But Albedo, he's not going to last long enough in order to eat our torpedoes. He's going to get torpedoed by the Allied Vaser, who finally decided to come over here. Now we have just skipped over a bit here whilst we're getting back into the battle. I don't really get to showcase the ship's HE slinging capabilities because, well, they're not that bad. And again, the DD accuracy really helps with the HE spamming. So we're just going to start farming this New Mexico here. Now when we are going to get around this island, or when the smoke comes back, we're going to go around this island. Because I don't want this island in between me and New Mexico, because that'd be annoying. Also to protect myself from the carrier, because of course I can't really farm him from behind this island if the carrier's there, because the carrier's just going to torpedo me, and we don't have a lot of health, so we really can't have that. So I have to, again, I've got to turn out here because of the carrier, and it's going to land a torpedo on me, which isn't really going to help anything. We're going to pop the smoke, and we're going to try and slow down. The enemy New Mexico fires another nice salvo of HE into us there, and he gets the fire, and he also knocks out our steering, so obviously we can't have that, and we fix it. Now we're just going to get back to farming here. The ship's a pretty effective farmer at this tier because obviously none of the ships really have that much armor, so you can get some nice pens, which does of course mean more damage. The New Mexico does a blind fire, takes out our steering, sets us on fire again, and he's just killed us. So for a person who knows how to blind fire, they don't know how to load armor piercing or put a camo on. So that's the tier 5 Huanghe. Now that wasn't of course the best game on the planet. I don't think I recorded the results unfortunately, but I think I got near enough 2000 base XP. Those planes certainly helped there. Planes give you a lot of XP for some reason. Now, do I recommend you get Huanghe, and how good is Huanghe? Personally, me, she's a great ship. She's probably one of my top picks for tier 5 cruisers, next to ships like Perth, Exeter and London. Maybe even Nuremberg and Pensacola if you can count Tech trees. So if you are going to buy a Tier 5 cruiser, I would recommend Huanghe as one of those ships. She's so versatile, she's got so much versatility, I guess. She really just doesn't disappoint, and I'm kind of happy to get her in a crate, so yeah. That's all for this video, guys. Toodaloo, au revoir, bye bye.